Imagine for a moment that your greatest fragility, empathy, could transform into your most powerful weapon of protection. What if you, yes, you, could become immune to narcissistic manipulation simply by using what's most genuine in your being? Think about it. How many times in life have you found yourself wondering why you attract certain types of people, or if there's a way to shield your heart without losing your sensitivity? Today, I'm going to reveal a psychological secret that can not only change your relationship with those who try to manipulate your good side, but also deeply transform how you see your own inner power. Before we walk this revealing journey together, I want to invite you to join this community of sensitive and conscious people. If this topic resonates with you, like this video now, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share in the comments. How does empathy influence your life? I'll read every response. Now get ready. What you're about to discover might be the key to unlocking hidden, invaluable potential. Let's start our deep dive into the world of self-knowledge through the powerful lens of Carl Jung's psychology. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you want. Feel the energy of this question. What if your empathy wasn't a burden, but your liberation? Feel the curiosity growing, because by the end of this video, you'll have a transformation tool in your hands that few know and even fewer know how to use. Ready to dive in? Then let's go together. Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant thinkers in analytical psychology, gifted us with a revolutionary concept, the shadow. Unlike common sense, Jung didn't see the shadow as simply negative. It's not just everything we repress or deny in ourselves, it's also our unlived potential, hidden forces, talents, passions, and even the healthy anger we fail to access to fit into social or family norms. But here lies a fundamental detail. We, empaths, tend to project parts of this shadow onto others, like narcissists. But what does it mean to project? When we don't recognize, for example, our assertive capacity or our own inner strength, we end up seeing these qualities on the other side of the mirror, especially in figures who fascinate or frighten us. And that's exactly where the trap forms. How many times have you felt a mix of admiration and fear when interacting with someone overly self-assured or even arrogant? It's as if, unconsciously, you transfer your own power to the other, believing that only they can act with coolness, courage, or firmness. Narcissists, in turn, capture often unconsciously this projected energy and use it to reinforce their mask of self-sufficiency. Projection makes the empath see the narcissist as someone endowed with an irresistible mystery or force, when in reality, they're just seeing a part of themselves that needs to be recognized and integrated. Do you see how subtle this mechanism is? If you look at the narcissist and only feel fear, perhaps you're missing accessing your own shadow of strength. When we ignore it, we become vulnerable to those who live by capturing and exploiting the power of others. Pause for thought. What aspects of yourself do you feel are still in the shadow? That anger, that swallowed no, that courage you keep just for yourself? The key to immunity begins by illuminating these forgotten parts. It's tempting to think that empaths and narcissists are complete opposites, isn't it? The empath feels everything, sometimes too much. The narcissist, on the other hand, seems immune to collective pain and only sees their own navel. But Jung asserted that opposites attract because both have something to learn and integrate from each other. Look, both the narcissist and the empath experience, each in their own way, a disconnection from their authentic self. The narcissist, to emotionally survive, shuts off their empathy, builds a psychic armor, and takes refuge in a grandiose persona. This shell protects them from their own wounds, but leaves them unable to access real intimacy and emotional depth. The empath, on the other hand, walks the opposite path. They feel everything, pick up on the pains of the environment, of people, and live in search of deep connection. However, out of fear of rejection, they often sacrifice their own needs for the sake of others. In this opposition, there's a paradox. Both seek, deep down, a sense of belonging and integrity, but through the lens of compensation, not authenticity. Ask yourself, how many times in trying to understand the other did you forget yourself? How many times did the narcissist go the opposite way, forgetting the existence of the other? When we realize this game is a duality, not a war, we develop compassion, not only for the other, but especially for ourselves. Perhaps the greatest secret of the relationship between empaths and narcissists is recognizing that each is called to integrate what's missing in themselves. For the empath, learning to access their assertiveness; for the narcissist, recovering lost empathy. Otherwise, the game of projections and deficiencies will never end. Carl Jung teaches us about inflation, when the individual's ego inflates to compensate for unbearable pain or a feeling of emptiness. The narcissist, behind all their theatrical arrogance or self-sufficiency, carries a share of the pain they refuse to look at. The fear of inadequacy, the trauma of rejection, the suffocated shame, all this converts into a dominant, seductive, seemingly unshakable character. That's why the narcissist can be so dangerously charming to the empath. They embody a force that seems inaccessible, an intense magnetism that makes the empath believe they need their approval to exist or be happy. This is the narcissist's theater of survival. The mask is the only thing preventing their inner collapse. The empath, in turn, becomes the perfect target for this game, not out of weakness, but precisely because of their superpower, sensitivity. They feel, intuit others' pain, and want to heal. But in trying to save the narcissist, they end up caught in the web of emotional manipulation. Their compassion is hijacked and used against them. Have you ever felt drained by such a relationship? As if every effort to help was met with more demands, less recognition, and a growing tightness in your chest? There's no easy answer to this, but Jung points out, we only regain our power when we recognize that we are responsible only for our own journey of individuation. The narcissist doesn't accept help because they don't see their wound. The empath only stops suffering when they stop trying to sacrifice themselves for others. At this point, it's clear. The secret isn't in fixing the narcissist, but in accessing, integrating, and strengthening your own boundaries, your authenticity, and your shadow of power. And this you'll discover in the next topics, where the true turning point of your journey begins. And now, before we continue, I want to invite you to leave your biggest question or personal experience with narcissists and empathy in the comments. Your participation can help and inspire many other people. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, share. You're creating a safe space for collective transformation. Let's go together, because the journey is just beginning. Imagine that within you there's an inexhaustible source of power, a force that isn't synonymous with aggression or control, but rather with authenticity, presence, and firmness. This power is deeply connected to what Jung called the shadow, the hidden, neglected, or rejected aspects of your own being. For empaths, integrating this shadow means embracing your own ability to say no, to set clear boundaries, and to recognize that anger, often repressed, is a sacred term for self-protection and self-respect. For a long time, you may have been conditioned to believe that empathy means accepting everything, carrying the suffering of others, and always putting your own needs second. This is a misconception that brings suffering and opens doors to narcissistic manipulation. The secret, which few know, is that the path to emotional immunity begins precisely by giving yourself back the right to strength. A strength that doesn't nullify empathy, but sustains and protects it. When you integrate your shadow of power, you stop being a victim of projections. You deal directly with healthy anger, that energy that motivates your growth and the definition of your boundaries. It's not explosive or hostile anger, it's firm, conscious, and transformative. This integration occurs through a process of deep self-knowledge, in which you stop seeking acceptance in the eyes of others and begin to accept yourself with all your nuances. This process allows you to regain your emotional center of balance, that zone where no doesn't cause guilt, but rather self-affirmation. The true strength of the immune empath isn't in becoming rude, selfish, or insensitive, but in manifesting conscious empathy, an empathy that welcomes but doesn't get lost. Imagine, then, what your life would be like if you could look at the narcissist calmly, without fear or need for recognition, because you are already whole within yourself. This is the turning point this secret reveals, the path to true emotional freedom. Have you ever felt, perhaps many times, that you carried the weight of the emotional world of the people around you? That, as an empath, it was your constant duty to be a safe haven, an emotional mother to friends, family, colleagues, and even strangers? This feeling can cause you to wear yourself out, get lost, and even slowly go crazy. Fortunately, Jung offers us a liberating insight, the perception he called inantroia. Inantroia is the concept by which we realize that we are not responsible for the emotions of others. That, however much we love and want to help, everyone has their own path of healing and learning, and that trying to carry this burden alone destroys us. This is a watershed moment in the empath's journey, because giving up this false emotional responsibility is the first step to becoming psychologically immune to the narcissist. The revolution happens when the empath learns to practice conscious compassion, a full empathy that doesn't dissolve into the suffering of the other. This means feeling with an open heart, recognizing others' pain, but maintaining a safe space for your own mental and emotional health. This liberation from emotional responsibility is a true balm that allows you to regain energy, focus, and self-esteem. You stop being the lifeguard for the shipwrecked and become a lighthouse, illuminating, guiding, and inspiring, but not carrying the weight of the ocean on your back. By practicing this new stance, the empath completes one of the most difficult stages of the journey, not sacrificing for others to validate themselves, but validating themselves by being genuine, firm, and present. Okay, all this knowledge might seem too profound, perhaps even abstract. That's why, in this part, I'm going to share some practical techniques you can start applying today to integrate your shadow of power and transform your relationship with yourself and others. 1. The mirror. Self-reflection on emotional triggers. Observe which situations, people, or words trigger intense reactions, discomfort, or anger in you. These triggers are mirrors reflecting your shadow. Instead of running, look at them with curiosity. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to show me? What part of me is still hidden? This practice strengthens your self-knowledge and helps rescue repressed parts. 2. Projection withdrawal. Stop trying to change others to feel happy. How many times have you tried to change someone's behavior to feel loved or secure? Recognize that this expectation is the root of hurt and disappointment. When you stop projecting your idealizations, you allow the other to be as they are, and more importantly, you allow yourself to be as you are, without needing approval. Start accepting people for who they really are, and you'll see enormous emotional lightness emerge. 3. The sacred no. Boundaries that protect, not alienate. Learn to say no without guilt. This is an act of self-love and respect. Setting boundaries is essential to maintaining a healthy energy field. Think of no as a fence protecting a flourishing garden. The more you practice, the more your power of choice strengthens. This doesn't make you cold, but rather aware of your limits. 4. Emotional Aikido. Redirect energy, don't absorb. Inspired by the Japanese martial art Aikido, this technique involves not confronting the other's emotional energy with brute force, but redirecting it. When a narcissist tries to drain your energy, respond with calmness and firmness, without letting yourself be absorbed. Learn to transform emotional attacks into gentle, protective movements, maintaining your serenity intact. These techniques, combined with the awareness of your own worth and limits, are the tools that will allow you to walk the path of true transformation. And believe me, the effect will be visible in your life, in your relationships, and in how the world responds to your presence. Ready to move on to the next chapters of this journey? Stay with me, because real transformation happens in practice, and you're about to discover how to live as an authentic and immune empath. Think for a moment. What would your life be like if you could walk into any environment, meet anyone, even those who have tried to manipulate your emotions in the past, and feel whole, centered, undisturbed? Imagine being able to look a narcissist in the eye, not with fear, not with anger, but with the silent tranquility of someone who knows exactly who they are, where they're going, and the value of their own sensitivity. This is the state of individuation, a central concept in Carl Jung's work and the ultimate goal of any true self-knowledge journey. Individuation isn't about becoming an ideal self, immune to flaws or negative emotions. It's about being real. It's about being whole. It's about recognizing all parts of your own psyche, lights and shadows, strength, weakness, vulnerability, and power, and integrating them into your unique way of existing in the world. For the empath, this state represents psychological freedom. You are no longer controlled by others' opinions, moods, or emotional demands. You can feel deep empathy for someone suffering without drowning in that suffering yourself. You can be generous without sacrificing yourself. You can be kind but say enough when needed. The authentically individuated empath is someone with emotional sovereignty. They don't depend on the environment to regulate their own mood because they've learned to recognize their internal boundaries. They know how to identify when energy in the environment doesn't belong to them and mentally return what isn't theirs. They develop what Jung called conscious empathy, that ability to feel the other without losing their own identity. But it goes further. Individuated empaths naturally attract healthier, more balanced people who respect their essence, because they no longer emit the unconscious signal of someone willing to be exploited. A flow of reciprocity then begins. They attract mature relationships, open space for true partnerships, nourishing friendships, and above all, have the strength to gently and firmly push away those who don't vibrate with the same integrity. This unshakable psychological presence brings lightness and purpose. Now the world stops being an emotional battlefield and transforms into an unlimited stage for expressing your authenticity. You don't lose sensitivity, you reinvent it as a shield and a sword. This is your true immunity. Ask yourself now, what would you do differently, starting today, if you knew that nothing could drain or manipulate your energy anymore? What changes when you decide where your self ends and the other's begins? If this question stirs you deeply, write in the comments, "I want to individuate." This is the boldest and most powerful step an empath can choose, and it's the invitation I extend to you for this final transformation. But make no mistake, every metamorphosis is accompanied by growing pains, existential doubts, and moments of darkness. Jung called the dark night of the soul that period when old references crumble, but new ones haven't fully emerged, and it's in this fertile void that true reconnection happens. For the empath, integrating the shadow often means confronting deeply ingrained memories, beliefs, and habits. Intense discomfort arises when saying the first no's, enduring guilt and anxiety about being misunderstood, refusing the role of savior for others, and facing the adult fear of rejection. Not infrequently, this process activates old wounds, childhood traumas, experiences of exclusion, episodes of narcissistic abuse. It's possible that, at certain points in the journey, you'll ask yourself, who am I without this excessive responsibility? Who will I be if I stop justifying everything with empathy and embrace my own desires? The identity crisis is inevitable because our society often values the unprotected empath, exalting boundless giving, silent sacrifice, self-destructive charity. Breaking with this paradigm causes strangeness in you and in those around you. There may be external resistance, criticism, silence, distance, and internal resistance, fear, sadness, a feeling of loneliness or emptiness. But it's precisely here that the threshold of wisdom and psychological maturity lies. It's in the darkest nights that the flame of the true self rekindles. With every boundary respected, every pain embraced without escape, every toxic relationship left behind, a new, silent, and clear strength is born. Jung said that individuation is a process for few because it requires the courage to face human duality, accepting that there is light and shadow, sweetness and strength, compassion and self-defense. Embracing this duality breaks the narcissist's spell. After all, the more integrated and whole you become, the less space there is for someone to fragment, drain, or manipulate you. Prepare to challenge your old identity. Recognize that every discomfort is a sign of growth. And remember, no one has ever gotten lost in their own labyrinth without finding their treasure within. If you've already gone through or are living through this dark night of the soul phase, share it here. Your story could be the light another empath needs to not give up on this journey. After so much inner diving, it's worth remembering, each empath's self-knowledge work resonates far beyond their private life. It's not just you who will reap the fruits of this transformation. The effect overflows into relationships, communities, and ultimately into the entire collective. When you heal, reintegrate, and strengthen your own sensitivity, you interrupt family cycles of psychological abuse, avoid perpetuating manipulation patterns, and become an example for others who are also seeking an alternative path. The energetic field of your relationships changes. It stops emitting a vibration of scarcity or need, and begins to radiate completeness, authenticity, and confidence. The environment around you notices the difference. Children learn from your example the value of their own boundaries. Colleagues admire your firm yet gentle demeanor. Families reorganize around a new model of love, one that welcomes but doesn't consume. By strengthening your own empathy, you strengthen the social fabric of lucid compassion. Your energy, previously drained in endless conflicts with narcissists, converts into creating, innovating, building, and truly helping. You grow, inspire, lead. And this, in the silence of everyday life, is a revolution. The time has come for the final invitation. If this journey resonated with you, if any concept here describes what you've felt, lived, or sought, participate in this movement. Like this video now, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share this message. In the comments, write how sensitivity and courage are helping you overcome toxic relationships. You don't know how powerful your testimony can be for someone else. Empathy and authenticity are, today, our greatest weapons against any manipulation. And when used with knowledge, they are indestructible. Invest in yourself, believe in your worth, and inspire the world by your example. Believe, the more integrated and sensitive you become, the more impossible any narcissistic attack will be. And every time you choose to respect yourself, the universe reorganizes to protect you. This is how, together, we transform not only our own lives, but the collective human experience. The secret is already on your side. The strength has always been yours. Now the choice is to